comes to mind when you hear the Red Power movement? Perhaps the color red or something about power and protest. From the beginning of history, Native Americans made countless attempts in gaining back what's rightfully theirs as their properties were ripped away from their control by Congress. The Red Power movement enabled for the reestablishment of American Indian pride in standing up against the government, allowing for the growth of a new generation where Native Americans can dominate their own culture and land while fighting for their individual rights. Society today continues to be impacted by the Red Power movement as Native Americans rally together to establish a stronger bond in saving and preserving their Native identities and properties. You may wonder, how is this movement relevant to today? The link between the Red Power movement and today can be seen through the incident of Alcatraz and the Standing Rock.
In particular, on March 8, 1964, a group including several members of the Sioux Club from the Indian Friendship Center dressed in powwow regalia and took a boat to Alcatraz, or the Rock. They decided to attend this site of a federal prison to work on demanding 5 institutions to be established on Alcatraz. These demands include a Center for Native American Studies, an American Indian Spiritual Center, an Indian Center of Ecology for scientific research on reversing pollution of water and air, a training school providing job trainings and teach the noble and tragic events of Indian history, a memorial as a reminder that the island had been established as a prison initially to incarcerate and execute California Indian resistors to U.S. assault on their nations.
In doing so, they claimed the land for Native people. With further assistance from the Indians of all tribes, the Indian Friendship Center boosted their abilities to fight for their rights. In November 1969, they organized a takeover of Alcatraz and used the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie, which stated that abandoned federal lands would revert to tribal ownership, to announce that Alcatraz was Indian land. This organization successfully set up a thriving village on the island that became a focal point for indigenous activism, which allowed future generations to have a place to come together as a whole and continue to resist to highlight their important identity as Native Americans.
In the fall of 2006, the Standing Rock demonstration resulted in the Standing Rock Sioux tribe setting up camps to protect the rock and their primary water source, the Mississippi River, preventing natural resources from being destroyed when the government suggested building a pipeline. They organized marches and horseback rides, along with getting allies to assist in the protection of the scarce rock that was considered a religious element. The Standing Rock Sioux tribe to protect their land that historically belonged to the indigenous community, in which building the pipeline would damage their landscape permanently and cause feelings of mistrust on the government due to their failure to protect their indigenous land. From this, it can be concluded that the Red Power movement went beyond Alcatraz and continues in the present time, involving a range of efforts to get U.S. treaties to work on land rights.
Overall, the Red Power movement built connecting organizations that would support their goal in achieving indigenous independence to assert self-dominance instead of being ruled under a dominant government. In setting these up, Native Americans established a supportive Native community that future generations can continue to join and fight against the government. By the influence of this movement, society today was able to establish other ways to fight for their land rights.